Paul Academy 2024 commencement ceremony. Thank you today for joining us. It's truly an honor for us and for our graduates. It's certainly a very talented graduating class, each in their own way. And I'm proud of them all for their hard work and disposition to receive in order to be here today. So we'll proceed with singing the national anthem led by Luke Spencer.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets red glare of bursting air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
This year, William Drum, with a 3.85 cumulative grade point average, is ranked second in the graduating senior class. William will give the salutatorian address.
Good morning, dear fathers, teachers, friends, and family. I've spent the last 10 years of my life here at St. Vincent's, and it has been a blur. From staring at the ceiling in third grade, wondering how the tiles were held at an angle on my first day in Mrs. Love's class, to solving calculus problems for answers that are incomprehensibly complex, not much has changed. I've just been a kid trying to learn so I can live a normal life when I grow up. To my disappointment, I realized as a freshman that learning does not stop with education. We should all be learning for the rest of our life. This shouldn't be too hard though, as everything can be a learning experience. To benefit the most from our everyday life, we must learn from everything that happens. That is, we must make everything a learning experience. Why is it necessary to always be learning though? Why can't we just be content with what we've got and work with it? We make our decisions based on our knowledge of the present circumstances and knowledge of what has happened in similar circumstances, which is from our own past experiences, but mostly from others which we've heard about. We hear these stories from our friends, our parents, books, teachers, and countless other sources. Whether we want to hear them or not, these stories teach us important lessons and influence our decision-making. By learning from others' experiences, we save ourselves from having to go through them. It saves us a lot of time. So learning is important for us on a practical level, but learning's true purpose is to help us reach our goal. The purpose of learning is to form us into proper Catholic men and women so that we can save our soul. The truth contained by the Catholic faith has endless depth, and it is our duty to learn what we can, or whatever is necessary for our salvation. In religion class, you quickly learn that each topic has no bottom, and years can be dedicated to discovering the subtleties that lie within. The Catholic Church contains all truth, and there is no truth that contradicts it. Religion class does not teach you the entire Catholic faith. Its goal is to build a foundation for one's growth as a Catholic. This building a foundation is the purpose of education. Education does not exist simply to impart knowledge. It gives you a worldview to filter through all the knowledge we will receive later in life. The years we spend in St. Vincent's are the most important years of our life as they lay the foundation for the building of our life. School is not meant to teach you everything. It provides you with a basis of knowledge to filter everything we will encounter through. We are taught a process for learning. We are given information, then it is up to us to accept what we are taught. Our belief of something does not change its truth, but it is up to us to seek the truth and to accept it. Education teaches us how to find the truth. Teachers can affect what you think, but in the end, it is up to you to arrive at the proper conclusion. No one should have to think for you. It is up to us to retain what we are taught and put it to use. Everything can be a lesson, but it is up to us to find that lesson. All our teachers have had more experience than us and know things we do not. Listening to their opinions on a character in a book or their stories will often reveal a new perspective. So, to the underclassmen, I encourage you to always look for something new to learn in every class. Even if you've been taught early modern history 3 times, there are new lessons to be learned. If you aren't learning in school, you will be bored out of your mind. If you are bored, try paying attention to the class and asking some questions. As you enter the unfiltered world, remember the value that lies in everything and look for it. Very few things are complete rubbish. This is why in philosophy class we spend so much time learning about errant schools of thought. At the very least, we see what not to do, but often there are some ideas reflected in Thomism and the Catholic way of life. Many of these philosophies were grown from natural virtue. These are other people's mistakes, and they provide some of the greatest lessons. We all know that we learn more from our failures than successes, so we should not be afraid to challenge ourselves. When we inevitably fail, we must pick ourselves up, figure out where we went wrong, and carry on from there, being careful not to make the same mistake. We will come back stronger having learned something. We should never be fully content with ourselves. We must always work towards a bigger goal. If we do not, then we will find we have no purpose. To have a greater knowledge of what pertains to us should be a key part of that goal. Everything we do is based off of what we know, and in order to human, one's will functions with regards to their intellect. To grow our intellect to be masters of our passions and desire is necessary for our salvation, so that we can always know to do the right thing. An abundance of useful knowledge fosters a strong intellect and will. Again, education's purpose is to teach us how to gain that knowledge. To keep that sense of wonder which is necessary to learn, it is important that we approach everything with an open mind. If we truly want to learn, we have to open ourselves to it. In logic class, we learned about biases, how some are good, but they can quickly ruin our learning process. A certain humility is therefore necessary to learn properly. We must put aside our preconceived ideas of a topic to open ourselves to a proper understanding. We might very often discover that we were correct, but often we were wrong to some extent. To all my teachers at St. Vincent's, I would like to say thank you for teaching me these things. I really do believe that I've been provided with a solid foundation for life, and I'm extremely grateful for the time you have invested in us. Thank you to my family, especially my parents. Mom and Dad, I hope that I can honor all that you've done for me. I hope I've become something you can be proud of, and that you don't feel all the effort it took to raise me has gone to waste. Thank you especially for the opportunities you have given me. I wish I could leave you with some wisdom, but I don't have enough to share. So I leave you with G.K. Chesterton instead. A man was meant to be doubtful about himself, but undoubting about the truth. This has been exactly reversed. For the old humility made a man doubtful about his efforts, which might make him work hard. But the new humility makes a man doubtful about his aims, which will make him stop working altogether. Goodbye, St. Vincent's, and thank you.
This year, Lucy Spencer, with a 3.87 cumulative grade point average, is ranked first in the graduating senior class. Lucy will give the valedictorian address.
Good morning. Dear fathers, sisters, family, friends, and fellow graduates, thank you all for coming. I would like to begin by thanking my mom and dad. You have sacrificed more for me than I will probably ever understand. You taught me to take initiative, to work hard, and most importantly, how to love and see the good in those around. Thank you to my brothers and sisters. Humility is definitely a virtue we take upon ourselves to make sure that the other siblings have. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you to our teachers. I doubt we have been an easy class to teach. From being ready to tell the teacher exactly how the other students are misbehaving, to our inability to pass up an opportunity to make someone laugh, or even the many random things we would randomly blurt out. Not many schools can say that every teacher cares about and loves the students as we can at St. Vincent's. Thank you to the sisters. Your joy every day in the classroom, at recess, or even just in passing brings to life the joy of our faith in the eyes of the students of all ages. We will miss hearing the jingle of your rosaries in the hallway and pretending we weren't doing anything mischievous when you came in the room. I also want to recognize the sacrifices of my grandma's generation. their love of and commitment to the faith, and secured for Kansas City the Latin Mass. We are the beneficiaries of their self-sacrifice and generosity. Leading on from there, thank you to the priests who have given their lives to the maintenance and passing on of the faith and the traditional Mass. Father Trimmer, despite the many times we made fun of your accent, he says sorry, begged for chocolate, or were late for class. You really did bring our faith to life with your stories, examples, and explanations. Most importantly, your actions set a good example for all the students, as do the examples of each of the priests of the priory. Now there is one more person. Sister Mary Bernard has taught all of us so much. She was unafraid of being honest with us, especially to call us friends. And she allowed us to ask her the burning questions that bothered us. She especially taught us by her example how to be a good leader. For lack of a better way of putting it, she made it cool to be virtuous. Sister, you have given all of us girls so much. Any girl placed into your care is lucky to be there. Thank you. We've gathered a wealth of knowledge here, from discovering that sisters do not in fact nail their veils to their head, to learning that guns did exist before the 19th century. We've argued over jump ropes at recess, our place in line, and most heatedly over our thoughts on Mr. Rochester. Our time here was spent in preparing us for the road ahead. From the smaller moments to the bigger ones, we were being provided with the tools for life. Each and every one of us will have our own path, but our goal is common. As St. Augustine said, it is better to limp along the way than to walk strongly off the way. The way will be rough and confusing at times, and we will limp. But it is the goal that makes the way. Never forget that goal, and never forget to look up at the goal. That will be the guiding light that will get you through. Straying from the path not only endangers ourselves, but puts at risk the good that we can do in the world. Recently, my dad went to a class reunion. There he reconnected with many friends, one of whom he had learned had converted to Catholicism. That man's wife said he attributed a large bit of his conversion to seeing my dad pray his rosary as a midshipman at the Naval Academy 35 years ago. It wasn't by any deep theological argument, or even by an evangelizing group. It was simply by the example set every night by the praying of the rosary. Some of us may go on to be lawyers, politicians, or doctors. Some of us will live out our vocation in family life, others in religious life, or others still may dedicate their lives in a different way. No matter where our path takes us, though, we cannot underestimate the power of our example. We never know who our path will touch. The gifts we've been given, those of the pursuit of truth, the appreciation of goodness, and the love of beauty, are ones which we must cherish, and more importantly, pass on, whether by example or by teaching. Classmates, the years have flown by at a surprising rate. It felt like just yesterday that 7th grade began and we entered the world of big kids. It's been a journey, and each of us has definitely grown over the years. We have friendships which I hope will continue as the years go on. Best of luck in whatever endeavors you take on, and I'm excited to see what is in store for the class of 2024. Thank you.
Our 2024 commencement speaker is Representative Francis Awerkamp. Mr. Awerkamp lives in St. Mary's, Kansas, and is the proud father of 7 children. He has served as the Kansas State Representative for District 61 since 2017. He's been a member of St. Mary's City Commission since 2011. He is also the co-owner of the Onyx Collection, one of the top producers of custom luxury art surface products in the country. We welcome Representative Francis Awerkamp.
Thank you, Father, others, and thank you to the graduates and all the students, faculty, and parents here at St. Vincent. It's certainly an honor and a joy to be with you here today for the graduation ceremony. Special honor, certainly because, St. Vincent's, a lot of love here. A lot of family, spent a lot of time here in Kansas City. My wife was a parishioner for several years, and it's given us a great opportunity in many ways. Specifically, Shane and I got out last night, first date night, quite some time, and it's been a lovely evening here in Kansas City, and Happy to be here with Shannon today. Father, you mentioned our 7 children. I have 6 at home, and we are very happy to be expecting our 7th here in September. So it's going to be a great year in the Abraham household. So today for graduation, when I take a look at what can I offer to the graduates, what can I leave you with that maybe you can take at least one small point of advice that will help you in your life. So maybe your learning curve isn't as hard as mine was. And so kind of trying to bring it down into a simple concept. And it's something which kind of a few years ago started to take a little bit more meaning for me. And the concept is simply that of positioning. What position are you placing yourself in? And maybe a silly analogy, but it kind of took on a little light when I had to coach my 6th grader in basketball. If anybody's ever seen little kids play basketball, they're a bunch of flies going to the light. They can't control themselves, and it's a disaster. But what happens with those little 6th graders is they never have the opportunity to use the talents that they have, because they're all smashed together in a log jam. So I said, what would happen if we just avoided doing stupid, positioned ourselves well? Maybe then those players would have the opportunity to use those talents. I think Father mentioned that in the sermon today. We have a duty and an obligation to develop the talents that we have received. And so if we think about positioning first, maybe that's a concept that we can use as we approach life. It was interesting at the beginning of the season, those 6th graders, they lost their first several games. But after I finally hammered it into the head of them, you got to be in the right position, and then good things will happen. They ended up winning their last several games, and they won the championship. But the interesting thing about it was they made it look easy and normal. They made it look easy and normal. And I think that was an interesting line Father Wood said one time to me. He said, for instance, how's life going? I said, it's going well. Yeah, it's going well. I mean, it's a lot of work. He says, well, that's good. It's normal. Life should go well. If you don't do stupid, you position yourself according to what's basic and right. So I'm going to give you a couple points that'll just kind of hammer that home maybe a little bit on how to position yourself to have a good, normal life where you can develop the talents, be the person that God wants you to be, and go to heaven. That's kind of the goal. So what are those 3 things? It's your mindset. It's your direction or your goals. And also, this one's a little bit too much fun sometimes, your friends. And they come in 3 shapes and sizes. We'll get to those in a little bit. So we'll take a look at the first point, just your mindset. What's a really simple way to think about how our mindset should be in life? One that will really put us in a position to take advantage of all that we've been given, right? Graduating all your time here in St. Vincent's, which your parents have sacrificed tremendously for. All the work of the priests, all your teachers. What's that mindset that will help you take advantage of those great opportunities and pass that on in whatever choice? It's a simple mindset of being thankful. Sounds really good, sounds really easy. But just wait till life gets a little bit hard, something doesn't go your way, somebody makes fun of you, somebody attacks you on social media, somebody attacks you in an open public meeting. You can take that personally, that wasn't nice. All of a sudden we very easily can become bitter. And what that does is kind of starts closing us in on ourselves a little bit. But if we can break through that and keep in mind all those wonderful things that we've been given, Remain thankful for those. Don't let the little things affect us. We can keep going. And if we're able to work through those difficulties, we will take even greater advantage of what we've been given. Many years ago, I was in the office at work on a Saturday, and my dad and my brother were there, and a customer walked in. He was talking to my dad a little bit, and after the conversation, our customer was leaving, and he got to the door, he opened the door, and he looked back. He looked back at me and my brother, and he said, "Let me tell you boys something. The older you get," and then he pointed to my dad, he said, "the smarter he will become." The older you get, I wasn't very bright, so it took me a few minutes to figure that out. How do you get smarter the older I get? I thought, no, as we start to realize more and more just how great our parents are. And I think maintaining that spirit of thanks, that mindset of thanks, will truly open up that opportunity to get to know your parents much better, how great they are, the sacrifices, and you will be able to build on what they have given you so much more. Another one that often gets criticized is people in authority, your teachers, the priests. You know, Lion, Father LaRue, I was in the seminary for a little over a year, and when I came back for my second year, Father LaRue, one of the opening conferences, he made an interesting line. He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "You will find faults in your teachers. That's normal. They're human. But what you will not find faults in is the principles and the truth that they are teaching you." I think it's a very important point because in authority, we do see often the human element. That's not fair, that's not nice, he made a mistake. Therefore, I am justified in doing stupid. Sorry to use that term, but it's true. I am justified in completely getting out of position on what leads to a successful rest of my life because somebody else made a mistake. It's wrong. It's wrong. So keep control of yourself. Watch yourself react to other people's imperfections or mistakes, even those in authority. And realize, especially in your teachers and the priests, that they are human, but what they have given you is the truth, is the greatest gift that any teacher or priest could have possibly given you. And if you maintain that spirit of thanks, you will be able to capitalize on their investment, which is great. So there's one little line that's helped me out a lot on this, and I think it's attributed to one of our former pastors, not Father Beck at St. Mary's, from many years ago. And it's helped me through a lot of difficult times. And it's idolize no one, demonize no one, see how God is working through them for you at that particular moment in time. It's really an interesting way to look at things. Sometimes we want to idolize Harrison Butker, demonize somebody else, but really, how is that opportunity a gift from God at that particular moment in time? Even difficult things. I think if you talk to your parents, they can tell you many of these. They have been tremendous sacrifices, challenges, but because they worked through those, they saw that God was actually helping them through that difficulty, and they stayed with it. It was one of the best gifts they could have ever received. So idolize no one, demonize no one. See how God is working through them for you at that particular moment in time. And one final note on being thankful. The opposite is being bitter. We know those people. It's unfortunate. But to be bitter really is to put yourself in a jail for the rest of your life. You're locking yourself down. So if you ever start feeling those sense of bitterness towards anybody, let it go. Think about what you've received Be thankful for that and keep going. And keep going. So where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? That is the second point. The second point I would like to make, and I lost my notes, they got out of order, but that's okay. The second point is to set your goals. To set your goals. So if you want to be in the right position, which direction are you going? You have to establish that. I was down in North Carolina. I used to coach basketball about 20 years ago now. It's kind of frightening to think it was that long, but I was down in North Carolina at a coaching clinic. There's an old gentleman who saw me at one of the receptions afterwards, and he comes up, he says, "You're kind of young. What are you doing here? Are you a player?" I said, "No, I'm a coach." He's like, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, why are you here? What are your goals?" And I kind of went quiet. I said, I don't really have them. I kind of know what I'm doing, but I don't really have them. He says, "You haven't written them down?" Feeling kind of nervous. What's he going to do? Take me out back and belt me? So I said, "No, I haven't." So he shook his head. He grabbed a little piece of paper and he said, let's start. So he just simply did your short-term goals, your mid-term goals, your long-term goals. And it was amazing how difficult of a personal challenge it is to write down my goals. And he said his little add to the goal sheet was a timeline. He said, "When were you born?" 1980. "You're probably going to die in 1964. Okay? When you die, what are you going to be able to look back on, and what did you accomplish? What was your life like?" Write it out. Script it out before you get there. Plan it out. Successful people do that. How many people who live on the sidewalks, we drive past them every day? You fill in the blank. How many people are addicted to drugs, broken marriages, children out of wedlock? Go down the list. How many people had a goal, list of goals that they followed in their life and end up in those situations? I would say none. You take a look at successful people, people who have accomplished things, people who have a good family, people who have kept the faith. What have they done? They have made it very clear that that is their goal. When they die, they want to go to heaven. That is their last and final goal. What that goal does, though, is it allows everything in your life to take on a focus. No, we can't predict everything, but if we keep that long-term goal in place, to go to heaven, to keep the second long-term in place, what is your state in life? Single, married, or religious? Those are your three options. If you're religious, you want to be faithful to your vows. If you're married, you want to be faithful to your vows and have a wonderful marriage. If you're single, I don't know, ask somebody who is. I'm not. But if you don't make that your absolute clear goal, what happens in life is there's distractions that come every second, every minute, every hour, every day. And to maintain your focus so that by the end of your life, you will be in a position that will give you a great opportunity to go to heaven. That doesn't happen by chance. How you live is probably how you will die. So you want to make sure you keep that long-term goal in place. And I would say it's an absolute necessity that you write it down. So the first one is maintain a good, thankful mindset. The next one is to set your goals, know which direction you're going. Helps you stay on that path, not lose your position. So what's the last one? The last point is your friends. Your friends, the influences that you let penetrate your mind, your heart, your activities during the day. And I would say friends come in three shapes and sizes. The first is your personal friends, right? The people you hang out with, people you spend time with. I've been very blessed with some wonderful friends. I cannot express how amazing they are. The people I had at my wedding party, the godparents to my children, the people who I get to work with and see on a day-to-day basis. It's truly a gift. It's absolutely wonderful. But I've had to make some hard choices along the way. And there was a story once actually a book recently republished by the Angeles Press on the memoirs of St. Pius X, written by Cardinal Mary Duvall. He's a Secretary of State under St. Pius X, and as the story goes, some people thought St. Pius X was just a nice guy. He's kind of soft. And Cardinal Mary Duvall said, "No, I don't think you know him. He would listen very well to people. He would explain. But if they didn't get it, they weren't cooperating, they kept complaining, whatever the case may be, he had a little reply. And it was simply, esto vir. Be a man. Toughen up. Quit your whining. Deal with it." And sometimes in life you have friends, people around you that are dragging you down in whatever shape or form, whether it's drugs, immorality, you name it. You're going to have to make the decision to cut them off. Either that or you got to hold on to an anchor through every day. It doesn't work very well. It's kind of tiring. So with your personal friends, I think it's very important. Surround yourself by people who help you in many ways. Get rid of the people, even though it's mean, it's necessary, who drag you down. The next group of friends are your cultural friends. So with cultural, right, you have entertainment, you have the things you do, and you also have the music you listen to. Your cultural friends. You think about the cultural friends, you've been exposed to wonderful classics, great books, great works of art. You've been exposed to great pieces of music. Those are more than just things. These are friends. They can talk to you just as close, I would say much better than the person right next to you. You think about Homer or Virgil, Dostoevsky, I said that correctly. What kind of conversations do you have with those friends? They teach you about virtue, about human nature. You think about St. Paul, his epistles, what can he teach you about? A life of union with God. It's pretty real. And you think about music, personal favorite, Little Rachmaninoff, Piano Concerto No. 2, second movement. It'll teach you about life and all the ups and downs you're going to go through and how you're going to get through them if you listen to those cultural friends. I'll finish with just be careful with the modern forms of entertainment. Social media, pardon the analogy, but I would rather go snorkeling in a sewage lagoon than spend time on social media. It's disgusting. Stay away from it, like the plague. Bad music. If you don't understand how music influences your heart and your soul and your mind, go back to your studies. I'm sure you heard about the 3 elements of music: melody, harmony, rhythm, and how they affect a human being, their mind, their heart, and their passions. The evil musicians out there, and they are evil, they come out and say exactly what they're doing with bad music. They say, we want to corrupt you. We are flipping the elements of music so we can control you and lead you down the path of self-destruction. Those are bad friends. It's hard to drop bad music. I've been there. But it's the best decision you will ever make when it comes to friends. And the third group of friends is your spiritual friends. Like, okay, who are my spiritual friends? The priests, yes, but I would also say God himself, and Our Lady, and the saints. You know, I'll just say a relative had his father-in-law died a few years ago. And after the funeral, this relative of mine made a small comment. He says, he went to the cemetery every day and prayed for the holy souls. I remember the thought coming to my mind, he's just trying to make friends in high places. And if we think about it, it was on retreat many years ago where one of the priests, I forget who it was, maybe Father Brandler, he said, our Lord and Our Lady are physically in heaven seeing you and wanting you to simply ask them for help. They're real. When I was in the seminary, one of the things that kind of just Father Rue smacked us over the head time and time again with is God is a person. God is a person. And there's a book Father Griego recommended to me. It was The Man Who Got Even with God. And it was about one of those hardcore monks trapped as Capuchins. Anyway, he was a bad guy. He got into the monastery. He was trying to reform his life, and he was working really hard. And the head monk, prior, I don't know what they're called, but head monk called him into his office and said, well, how are you doing? He says, I'm doing it. I'm doing really well. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing everything. And the head monk says, I tell you what, I'm going to give you a word of advice, and I'm going to give you 2 tools to help you understand it. He said, the religious life is not something you do, but it is someone you love. And the 2 tools are the rosary and the Stations of the Cross. So when we talk about our spiritual friends, I think it's very important to realize they are God, Our Lady, and the saints. They are real. And you can have conversations with them on a day-to-day basis. If you get answers, maybe talk to the priest. But don't be afraid to make them part of your daily life in a very intimate and close way. They are truly your greatest friends, without a doubt. And if we miss out on that connection to them, I think we're missing out on a tremendous part of our life. And really, if you think about it, if you really want to go to heaven, you kind of want to know who you're going to spend eternity with. So might as well start now. And I guarantee you, each and every day you try to do that, they will help you along. Much better than any friend you'll ever have. So, those are the 3 points. To kind of back up the positioning concept, how are you going to position yourself for the rest of your life? Can you maintain that mindset of thanks? Can you be serious about your future and write down your goals, directing everything you do towards your true final end? And can you make those decisions on choosing good friends and dropping bad friends? Personal, cultural, and spiritual. So work on it. I think life is a wonderful journey, and where you are today, when you look back when you're 43 years old, you'll be like, wow, that went fast. But I can guarantee you one thing, that the return is always greater than the investment if you're trying to do the right thing. So if you work on those 3 elements, you position yourself correctly, I think without a doubt, your very best is yet to come, and you will have a wonderful life and make your parents very proud. Thank you very much. Father
Father Trumer will now present our diplomas to the high school graduates. Graduation honors are based on the seniors' high school cumulative grade point average. Magna cum laude is awarded to those with a cumulative high school GPA of 3.8 to 3.89. Cum laude is awarded to those with a cumulative high school GPA of 3.6 to 3.79. If I could ask you all to rise. The graduating seniors of the class of 2024 are Salvatore Donasi, William Drum, magna cum laude. Monica Hamilton, cum laude. Lucy Spencer, magna cum laude. Natalie Tomac. Stephen Wagner. I pronounce you graduates of the class of 2024.